Hey, what's up everybody? BDF 44 coming at you another video. Alright, so letting the Holy Spirit in garnered me in a response. Just like I said in my last video, when you fight any bad energy, you fight it with good energy, man. It's one of those situations where I just told her that, when you're cold, I'm gonna be warm. I was referring to my friend K. For those of you I don't know what I'm talking about, I've been having an issue with my friend K. I'm gonna get everybody caught up just in case you're your first video watching me. This is a therapy session. My name is BDF 44, and my friend K has been someone who I've gotten along with, but we kind of at a distance at the moment. She gave me the silent treatment after a situation where I may have, I think I did, overreact to a post that she had on Halloween where I saw her next to someone else and didn't like what I saw, and ended up not only saying that I was uncomfortable with that, but also started bringing up stuff that ultimately I had been holding in for a long time in regards to how she kind of is a little distant with me, and she had already explained to me a couple times that she's been dealing with a lot, and sometimes it's hard for her to communicate. So it was almost like I had forgotten all that and just started flashing out at all of the different things that I wanted to, and just started forgetting certain things that we had communicated, and just the enemy was using me, I think, to kind of do my part to try to further bring us apart. And I want everybody to know that all the videos I had leading up to this, a lot of that was just done because of silent treatment, and silent treatment is something I take as disrespect in most situations, but we've expressed to each other a lot, and at the end of the day, you just gotta trust sometimes, and it's hard to do that when you don't have communication coming your way in real time. So that's kind of the gist of what's been going on, just a lot of silent treatment. After that initial blow up where I finally told her, hey, I don't like this, I don't like that, and this is what I think, and you ain't did this and that. And it just became a situation where, I started realizing that my natural inclination in situations like these is to lash out with my ego. But tonight it became clear to me, after a great deal of thinking and just different conversations we've had on this channel, that the only way I'm going to be able to defeat an attack from the enemy is to fight fire with grace, or fight fire with the Holy Spirit, fight fire with prayer, more or less. And so she hadn't been saying nothing to me. I had sent her Lakers stuff. I wore the shirt she bought me today, that Lakers shirt that y'all see me with. She actually bought that for my birthday 2 years ago. I wore that down to the crypto.com arena. I showed her what I was wearing. I sent all types of prayers yesterday. She didn't respond to none of that. I sent her all times of good mornings all day long, telling her, hey, how you doing? Been communicating the whole time, even though she wasn't coming back at me. And a lot of times I was communicating, but I was saying stuff and then deleting it. It was a lot of ego stuff. Delete. I was just spazzing out in her inbox throughout the course of this week. And it got to a point where it was like, you know what? I know this was a spiritual attack. I know why this happened. This happened because initially, before all of the stuff that we had going on, I started talking about Gaza and the various different things going on around the world in my phone. The conversations usually are about myself. Maybe occasionally we'll talk about what's going on in the world, but I started using my voice as a means of saying, yo, this is something I don't like. I was early on it. I was telling people about a lot of different things, and something told me before any of this happened that the enemy was going to attack me. It was like a voice that kind of came to me just like it always do. It said, yo, you can expect an attack very soon. Now, in that situation, it helped me understand that if the enemy's going to attack you, then it's evil that's coming at you. It's not somebody's feelings necessarily. No, the enemy's going to take whatever they got going on and take whatever you got going on and weaponize it against both of y'all. He's going to use it. But if you know it's him, then you know how to defeat it. And so for me, as I was sitting up here tonight, thinking about all these different concepts throughout all the course of the times that we've talked on this, about this on this channel, and all the different things that have gone on, I just realized, it's a lot of times when she gives me that silent treatment, I lash back out, or my initial thought is to lash out with, you disrespecting me, I want to cuss you out, I don't know, whatever, even though I don't necessarily follow through with keeping those messages in her inbox. I may actually say those messages or type those messages and then unsend them, as I've already said. And so that's what my natural inclination is to do, is to be argumentative. And I realized it was argumentative energy that got us here. It was argumentative energy that put us in a position to where we didn't get along, to where the enemy was able to use that against us and ultimately have me wigging out over here and have her in the space that she was in, for which I didn't have no communication. I'd imagine it wasn't great for her, because that's just how this tends to work. And you know, maybe I haven't said it yet on this video, but like when I did end up having a communication with her, she ended up telling me that when I was bringing a lot of what it was that was frustrating to me to her, it was during the time when she needed it not the most. And so it's like, oh, so the enemy's using my frustration to hurt her and make her life more difficult in a moment where it's already difficult. Just like he finds the most inconvenient, or rather the most convenient times for when I'm at my lowest, to make it so that she just so happened to be absent and I can't reach her. It's like when I need my friend to be there with all the energy she always gives me, it's the days that I need her the most that she's often not there. And it's like, yo, this is what the enemy usually do. He ends up weaponizing both of us against one another at the most inopportune times. And so when I had all this in my mind tonight, and I looked up and I realized she hadn't responded to none of my Laker videos, I wore my, all this different stuff that I know she would have at least said, double tapped or heart or something. I'm like, she really giving me the coldest treatment there is to give somebody. And I'm like, well, this is what I think. And then I went into a whole spiel about how this energy is going to welcome the wrong things, and she going to end up that. And then it's like, wait a minute. That's not what this is. This is an attack on your spirit. The enemy likely wants to use her in some type of way that maybe don't even have nothing to do with you, that'll take the energy that you're about to give her with that combative energy and have it probably do some other stuff to someone else in a different way. Essentially, that's what I was saying in my last video. I explained all of this, I think, in a much better way. But the point is, I hadn't heard from this girl in 3 days probably. And she responded to the prayers that initiated that last therapy session I just made. She responded to that. And she told me, thank you. You are so strong-minded. You really are heaven sent. And I'm so proud of you. You should be proud of yourself. Like, that's the best energy she could give me. And it's like, I don't get that energy. I don't get that response if I'm sitting there giving her anything at all that was coming to my mind that didn't involve the Lord. But because I brought the Lord into the equation, I was able to at least hear her voice, or rather receive some type of response. And that's ultimately what I wanted, for her to snap out of that silent treatment and ultimately bring back some of that energy that I appreciate. Now, that don't mean that I'm about to be back and forth with her. I'm not going to call her right now. She's still in her space. But the point was, it was God that broke that spell that had her silent. And it was going to be my frustration that further reinforced the enemy to do the damage that ultimately he wanted to do in whatever way he wanted to do it. And as I was telling y'all, before she had given me this response, because while I was making the last video, that's when she was responding. So I didn't know that she was going to respond. That's the key to all of this. But because of the fact that I incorporated the Holy Spirit, I told y'all, now let's see what the Holy Spirit can do with this. What did he do? By the time my video was over, she had responded. And I tell you, it's spiritual warfare, man. It just reinforces the understanding. It's not even about the response per se. It's just the reinforcing of confirmation that this is spiritual warfare. You can see it in what it is we're talking about. It was either going to be God incorporated into the circumstance for which she was going to be able to brighten up and feel better, or at least reach into this phone and tell me something, or it was going to be my natural inclination for which the enemy can work with, that ultimately would allow her probably to take that frustration and further be quiet for the next 8 days. You know what I mean? However it goes. And maybe even do worse things with the frustration that otherwise I'm reinforcing. Prayer is the answer to the attacks that come your way. That's the bottom line. It was the same message that I was giving y'all in the last video in a much more condensed way. And it's the same message I'm going to give y'all right here in this one. Prayer's the way, man. If you have an argument with somebody, I was telling you about my mom and I having arguments like that as a kid, and only for us to come around and realize it was exactly that. The enemy was trying to attack us. Prayer's the way, friend. Because at the end of the day, what you're going to end up finding is that those attacks are usually meant not just to bother you guys in your situation, But that enemy wants you to then walk away with the frustration that you have and do his bidding. Get in the car, get in a car accident, go off and just be cold-hearted. So you're going to do something you ain't got no business doing, hurting somebody else. I mean, it's just how it goes. It's not just about what's in front of you in the argument that you're in. It's about what you're going to do with that frustration later on. The resentment that's going to build from that frustration and them hurtful words that you about to say versus the hurtful words that will be coming back at you. You got to leave the enemy with something he can't do nothing with. That's essentially what I was telling y'all. And that's exactly what happened here. Now, I don't know how she's going to feel for the rest of the night. Maybe she don't hit me up for another 3 days, but at least I know it was the prayers that I prayed that she couldn't do nothing but respond to. I left so much positivity up there, and it was from a space of God. It wasn't about me and my feelings and trying my ego involved, or just me trying to pander to her so she garner a response. No, I was coming in there with the Holy Spirit for real. To say I'm not walking in this alone. I know this is the enemy trying to attack me, and I know by way of the faith in the God that I serve, that I have that faith in, how to get the best out of the circumstances as it pertains to defeating the enemy that's fighting me. It's chess, not checkers. Karen is the subject. Karen's also the confirmation for which that I was right. But the battle wasn't between me and Karen. The battle was between me and that enemy, who ultimately attacked me and ultimately used me to attack her, which further was attack to me. You see what I'm saying? And so when I know that, you got to look past the subject. You got to look straight at what it is you're dealing with. That's the enemy. And when you know it, you know how to fight him. You fight fire with prayer. You fight fire with the Holy Spirit. You bring God into the equation. It's exactly what I was telling y'all. I just wanted to come back and confirm to y'all what it was. But I figured it would be far too vague for me to just say, hey, yo, she responded. Can you believe it? Like, that's what I really wanted to say in this video. But she did respond. And I approached that situation with love in my heart for not only my friend, but for the God I serve. And an acknowledgement that this is not about me arguing with Karen or any of the circumstances from which our argument would have taken place. But this is about a choice. Either you're going to fight fire with fire, or you're going to fight fire with grace. And I chose grace, and now we see the results I was hoping to see. And that's all it is, man. I ain't going to demand nothing of my friend tonight. You know what I mean? I'm not going to sit up here and say, okay, now we're talking. No, I'm not going to do that. I want her to have the space she needs from within the circumstances she wants. I want her to reach back to me. You know what I mean? If that's what is best. Or I want the Holy Spirit to guide me so that I can give her what it is that's blessed. But, you know, I didn't want to do anything but just make all of us aware that this is how you fight the enemy, man. You can't fight him with your frustration. He can work with frustration. You can't fight him with your hate. He can work with your hate. You can't fight him with your violence. He can work with your violence. Anything that reflects poorly upon you or your mood or your last name or your family or your finances or anything, if it reflects poorly, he's working with that. You got to fight him with something that is unorthodox in nature, and that is your positivity, your love, your forgiveness, your happiness, your God, who provides all of those good things. Because we know every good thing that comes to us comes from God, and every good thing will return to him. So you bring him to the equation, and he will get what is his from the enemy that's attacking you. And that's the bigger picture. You bring God into the equation, this ain't your fight. This ain't even your fight. Just like Kay was the subject in this situation, I was too a subject. The battle's really between him and the enemy. You let him into the equation, into your situation, he will work through you, and he will effectively get back what is his. And that is exactly what we saw there. I'm conscious in nature, but once I let God in, he's the main character, not me. I'm just a guy. Karen's not the main character. She's just a girl. It's the enemy on the side trying to take the good thing that I'm trying to be from God. He wants to take me from God. He wants to take Karen from God. But at the end of the day, we're good things and we come from God. That is who the enemy is ultimately fighting with. Not me. Not me. He's trying to break up God's plans within our lives. And so that's how we have to look at that. That's how we have to look at that. Yeah, we think we the main character in the story, but we ain't never the main character in the story of good and evil. That's between God and the enemy. So that's what I want people to understand, man. It's spiritual warfare. It's chess, not checkers. Let God in, because he's the main character anyway. And once you let him in, he will effectively take back what's his. You know what I'm saying? That's what it really comes down to. You gotta worry about much of anything after that, and this just happens to prove it. My name is BDF 44. I thank you all for watching, and I'm out.